From the shattered heavens he fell. A crimson twilight bore witness, as Kratos' boot touched the scorched metal of a ruined landing pad on a world far beyond his realm, a hive planet once vast, now crumbling beneath the weight of war. The sky bled orange, ash rained like grief, and the distant howl of las cannons echoed the ghosts of ancient rebellions. "Boy," he muttered automatically, glancing at the strap of his Leviathan axe, its runes faintly flickering with the residue of his mythic wars. He did not come as a warrior seeking fame. He came because the whisper in the void pulled him an echo of vengeance that bridged not only realms but realities. The Imperium trembled, the warp itself shivered at the rending of boundaries, and a tear in the sky opened. From that tear light, impossible bright, golden as a war banner under the Emperor's own standard, he emerged. The Imperium's sentries barely registered the blind crash of his arrival, though their machine spirits buzzed in alarm. A servitor hulk rose from slag, its vox link crackling. Unidentified combatant, exceeding lethal threshold. But Kratos was already moving. The axe sang in his hand, a cold whisper of breaking bones and shattered god. Centurions of the Adeptus Astartes, clad in ceramite, pointed bolters. "Stand your ground," they said. So he did. With a glance of scorched armor, he swung metal met power armor in an explosion of sparks and ancient fury. In that moment, the embers of the hive city, the dying dormitories, the prayers of billions, a symphony of despair, cried out for release. And Kratos answered, but this world was not his war. It had neither Olympus nor Jotunheim, only endless battle, devotion shackled to ritual, and the distant roar of engines, built for annihilation. He inhaled the stench of Prometheum, the crackle of servitors and the drone of machine spirits. This is the real war, he thought, and in the far future, I am still the Ghost of Sparta. He paused, scanning the horizon. In the distance, the void gates of the Imperium flickered with psychic screams. The warp oozed into reality. A new challenge, he growled. Let them bring their gods. And the galaxy watched. Would you like me to continue with part 2 of chapter 1, where Kratos confronts the machine god of the Imperium, and his first taste of the gothic terror of 40K? The first to reach him were not space marines, but red-robed priests, with faces like polished scars. Incense coiled around vox relays, brass sensors wept oil onto the deck. Skitae formed a living phalanx, augmetic eyes humming as they sighted him, target runes blooming across Kratos' chest like a field of blood-red flowers. Desidition unknown, droned a binharik canter. Heat bloom exceeds cohort tolerance. Machine spirit agitated. Kratos set the Leviathan axe against his shoulder. I am no spirit. A tech priest shuffled forward on spider limbs, voice layered with static. Omnissiah signatures detected. Pattern anomalous. You are either a lost fragment of the divine engine, the priest tilted, auspex plates whirring, or a heretic miracle begging for disassembly. The god slayer said nothing. The city said everything. Far below, a manufactorum screamed in labor, stamping out shells for a war that had forgotten its first enemy. Overhead, the sky peeled back like a flayed hide, purple veins of warp light spidered between clouds. Somewhere, someone was praying 10,000 throats, one plea. But that was only the beginning. A Skitae Alpha snapped a command. Electro's staves crackled, the cohort advanced. Kratos moved once. The axe whispered frost into the breath of summer. A crescent of pale light carved the first rank apart, limbs clattering like shed armor from dead gods. Bolter fire hammered his pauldron. The rounds popped and spun away, their machine spirits whining in confusion. Kratos caught one in his palm, crushed it to glitter, let the shards bleed from his fist. The tech priest's hooded head trembled, fear or awe, or the memory of either. This is not permitted, he breathed. This is not possible. Nothing you built can forbid me, Kratos replied, stepping into the wall of bodies as if surfing. The axe rose and fell. Bones remembered mortal lore. Metal remembered being ore. And then, the whispers changed. Every lumen on the concourse guttered. Vox horns choked. A low tone flooded the air too deep for ears. felt in the spine, learned in the womb. The cohort fell to one knee as if yanked by the planet itself. The tech priest spasmed, tendrils lashing. Contact confirmed. Holy machine, acknowledged. The dragon beneath Mars. No, the idea beneath all engines, hears you. A door of light opened behind Kratos. Not before him but through him, showing a vision the Mechanicus would call blasphemy, and he would name a memory. Hammers in the dark. A father's hand guiding a boy's sparks like stars. For a heartbeat, the axe hummed in time with forges a sector away. Do you claim him? Hissed a new voice. The smell hit first, copper and rain in a graveyard. Sweet rot, feverish wine. The crack in the sky thickened. A ripple of color sluiced down and pooled into a shape with too many rules and not enough bones. A creature of the Imperium stepped from its own shadow, horns wearing faces that smiled and wept. Another god thing, Kratos said, turning. His scarred knuckles flexed. Good. The daemon laughed, and the laugh made men remember their worst day. They crown a corpse and call it emperor. They crown a reactor and call it god. But you are honest. A knife that believes in cutting. It bowed with obscene grace. Serve me. Together we will unmake this stagnant hymn. Kratos' answer was motion. The axe flew. Runes flaring winter. The daemon caught it on a limb that wasn't a limb. Shrieking steam. The concourse shattered. Steel screaming, skitari scattering like sparks under a storm. What they saw next defied logic. Kratos yanked the axe back. The blades of chaos answered his call. Chains erupting from the old wounds in his forearms. Metal singing with the memory of 1,000 murdered divinities. Fire spiraled. Gold against purple. A sun being strangled. The daemon lunged. The Mechanicus prayed. The city held its breath. And above it all, something noticed, far away, behind a throne that eats souls, an ancient mind turned like a lighthouse. Kratos planted his feet. Let them all come, he growled. I have killed gods before. The daemon smiled with too many teeth. Here, Ghost of Sparta, the gods kill back. The sky broke. The hive trembled as god and daemon clashed. Each strike shattered ferrocrate towers into dust and memory. Each impact echoed through the warp like a hammer against an anvil. And something listened. Kratos hurled the blades of chaos, their chains wrapping around the creature's throat, searing it with the fire of Olympus long extinguished. The daemon screamed, not from pain, but recognition. You carry old power, it hissed. Power that was known before the first human dreamt of the stars. Kratos pulled. The chains burned white hot, dragging the daemon into the ground. It exploded in a bloom of psychic flame that tore open the veil between reality and madness. For an instant he saw them, billions of faces pressed against the fabric of the warp, watching him, whispering names he did not know. The Imperium had a word for these entities, Neverborn. But Kratos only called them what they were, gods too weak to die properly. From orbit, the Imperial Navy saw the blast bloom across the city like a false sunrise. Entire Vox networks went dark. Reports flooded the bridge, unregistered energy readings, machine spirits malfunctioning, multiple astropathic seizures, and then silence. Only one voice came through, Mechanicus' signal. He walks like a god, but bleeds like a man. The Admiral's face was drained of color. Exterminatus protocol. The Vox crackled again. Negative. Observation. The Omnissiah is testing us. Below, Kratos stood among ruins. Smoke curled around him in lazy spirals. The daemon's essence leaked into the ground, reshaping the stone into living metal. In its reflection, he saw his own face flicker between flesh and bronze, man and myth. The Leviathan axe trembled in his grip. He looked up. The sky above was cracked open like a wound, and through it, something massive watched. The stars blinked out, one by one, as a shadow passed over the planet. A black ship, its hull inscribed with prayers and chains, carrying psychers doomed to feed the Emperor's throne. Kratos felt their terror wash over him. He had felt such terror once before, From mortals praying to gods that would never save them. Another pantheon, he muttered. Another lie. The ship descended slowly, like judgment given form. A figure stood upon its ramp, robed in black and gold, eyes burning with psychic fire. An inquisitor. She stared at him, lips parting in disbelief. By the Emperor, you stand within the gaze itself. You survived it. Kratos turned toward her, his voice a low growl. Your Emperor has been watching. He watches all. Then tell him. The chains at his wrists tightened, glowing with old rage. I'm coming. Somewhere deep within the Imperium, the Astronomicon flickered. The Emperor's light pulsed twice, then steadied. In the darkness beyond, daemons screamed as the golden light of terror looked back. Kratos walked into the falling ash, toward the Inquisitor's ship. He didn't know this galaxy, but already, it felt like home. The journey to Terra was a silence too loud for mortal minds. Inside the inquisitorial ship Sanctus Vox, the warp rippled like a sea of broken mirrors. The Geller field howled against unseen claws. Daemons pressed their faces to its surface, hissing words that only Kratos could understand. They did not speak his name. They remembered it. The Inquisitor, Lyra Vaughn, Ordo Malleus, watched him from across the sanctum. Her hands trembled against the Rosarius, yet her voice remained firm. You are an anomaly. You carry no gene seed, no psychic signature, and yet, the warp recoils from you. Kratos didn't look up. He was sharpening his axe, a meaningless act, for the weapon could not dull. Your galaxy reeks of ghosts, he muttered. Your warp, it's no different from the underworld I've walked before. The warp, Lyra said, is the reflection of every soul, every prayer, every terror. Even the Emperor himself cannot silence it. Kratos paused, the blade's edge glinting. Then he is no god. Lyra smiled faintly, a dangerous, weary smile. Say that on Terra, and you will be erased from existence. When they emerged from the warp, the void unfolded into gold. Terra, cradle and crypt of mankind, hung before them. Wrapped in storms of radiant dust, fleets orbited like circling flies, while a golden beam of psychic light pierced the void from the planet's heart. The Astronomicon, the Emperor's eternal gaze. Kratos felt it immediately. A pressure, a voice, not heard but remembered. You do not belong here. He gritted his teeth. I've heard that before. The ship descended through the thunder. They passed through layers of pollution, through orbital bastions, older than entire civilizations. When they finally landed on the marble plains before the Imperial Palace, the air itself seemed alive, whispering prayers, reciting names of saints long dead. Kratos followed Lyra through the gate of eternity, flanked by custodians, giants in golden armor, each bearing weapons that hummed with restrained fury. They did not speak. They didn't need to. Even gods knew silence in that place. As they entered the throne room, the temperature dropped. The sound of 10,000 machines breathing in unison filled the air. Before him, atop a mountain of cables and golden bone, sat the Emperor of mankind, a corpse made divine. Kratos stared. The Emperor's eyes glowed faintly, like dying suns. When he spoke, it was through thought, not tongue. Another godslayer. Another tragedy seeking purpose. Kratos's reply was low, gravel torn from his chest. You speak like the ones I've killed. I am not them. Then prove it. For the first time in millennia, the golden throne flickered. Every soul in the chamber dropped to their knees, their minds seared by the psychic resonance that followed. Only Kratos remained standing, unflinching, unafraid. And as their gazes met, mortal rage against eternal will, the throne began to hum. A god had come to challenge another. The air around the golden throne burned, not with flame, with thought, with pressure, with presence. To mortals, the Emperor's voice was a symphony of divinity, but to Kratos it was something else entirely. It was the echo of a man who had forgotten he was one. You have crossed realities, the Emperor said, his words forming directly in Kratos's skull. You tread where even gods fear to linger. Why? Kratos stepped forward. each boot scraping against marble engraved with the prayers of 1,000,000,000,000 souls. I didn't choose this path. The void tore, and it called to me. The warp does not call without reason. Then maybe it remembers me. Kratos growled. The gods I've slain, the worlds I've burned. The custodians shifted uneasily. One raised his spear slightly. The air sang around the motion. Lyra Vaughan's breath caught. No mortal, no daemon, no angel of death had ever stood this close to the throne uninvited. But Kratos was not bound by their rules. He never had been. The Emperor studied him, his eyes glowing brighter, his psychic aura swelling until the marble beneath them cracked. You reek of war, of grief, older than my species. You are an echo of another age, when gods killed gods to claim dominion. I'm done with gods, Kratos said, but your galaxy, it stinks of them. Every creed, every machine, every scream, all of it worship. You built this empire on fear, and you call it faith. Faith sustains order. No, Kratos spat, his voice rising like thunder. It sustains control. You sit on a throne made of lies and corpses, feeding on your people's hope, while they die in your name. You're no different from Zeus. The custodians surged forward, but the Emperor raised a hand. Hold. The gesture alone stopped them, as though the universe obeyed. For a long moment, neither spoke. The two beings, one bound by eternity, one by wrath, simply existed in confrontation. Then the Emperor did something none had seen in 10,000 years. He smiled. You misunderstand, Ghost of Sparta. I do not rule for glory. I rule because there is no one else left who can. Kratos stepped closer, his face inches from the radiant light. Then you are as cursed as I am. The Emperor's voice softened, as if the galaxy itself sighed. Perhaps, but I built a cage for chaos. You merely broke yours. The words hit harder than any blade. Kratos' hand tightened around the haft of his axe. His veins burned with restrained fury and recognition. You talk of cages, he said. Then answer me this. Who guards you? I do not require guards, the Emperor replied. Only belief. Kratos leaned in, the glow painting his scarred face in gold. Belief, he said quietly, is the first chain I ever broke. Lighting rippled through the throne. The Astronomicon flared across the stars. For a heartbeat, the Imperium fell silent. Two wills, one mortal, one eternal, touched, and the warp blinked first. The golden throne dimmed. The endless hum of machinery, the psychic scream of a dying god, all of it faded, replaced by stillness. The Emperor had withdrawn into the psychic sea, and he had taken Kratos with him. The world around the Ghost of Sparta dissolved into gold dust. When the dust settled, Kratos stood not in the throne room, but in a vision, a galaxy made of memory and sorrow. Millions of voices echoed in the distance, chanting hymns to the Emperor that melted into the screams of dying worlds. You wish to judge me, the Emperor's voice resounded, disembodied, omnipresent. Then see what I endure. The skies ignited. Kratos saw entire worlds burning at once, planets flayed by tyrannid swarms, daemons feasting on billions of souls, Eldar craft worlds splitting under the weight of their own sins, and in the center of it all, the Emperor radiant and unmoving, his light holding the darkness back by will alone. I sit upon that throne not for power, but penance, the Emperor said. I burn so they may exist one more day. Kratos turned slowly, watching humanity's suffering play out like an endless theater of despair. You call this mercy, he growled. You've enslaved your people with hope. You feed on their worship. I feed on nothing. I'll endure it. Endurance without choice, Kratos muttered, is just another form of torment. The Emperor's tone shifted, cutting deeper than any weapon. And what would you know of torment? The scene around Kratos twisted. The ash beneath his feet turned to snow. Greek mountains under a crimson sky. He heard the laughter of gods long dead, smelled the iron scent of Olympus in ruins. The corpses of Ares, Poseidon, Zeus, all of them appeared before him, their divine blood soaking the earth. You slaughtered your gods, the Emperor said. And what came after? Peace, freedom, no. You became what you hated most. Kratos' hands trembled, his knuckles whitened around the axe. I became what I needed to be. A weapon, the Emperor said, voice cold as vacuum. That is all you have ever been. To the gods of Greece. To your son. Now perhaps, to me. Kratos' rage flickered like a dying flame. You think you know me? I see what you are, Ghost of Sparta, the Emperor replied. You are not salvation. You are inevitable. You are what happens when mortals remember they can kill their gods. The world trembled. A storm of psychic fire rose around them, fragments of history, myth, and heresy colliding in a hurricane of light. Kratos bared his teeth. Then know this, your Imperium is not my Olympus. I will not kneel to it. And if you stand in my way, I'll add your throne to the ashes of the old ones. The Emperor's reply was neither anger nor threat, only a weary truth. Then you are exactly what this galaxy was made for. The vision shattered. Kratos awoke on the marble floor before the golden throne. His body smoked with lingering psychic heat. The Emperor's gaze dimmed. The custodians stirred. Lyra whispered, trembling. What did he show you? Kratos rose, eyes burning like twin suns. War, he said. Your god and mine are not so different. The Emperor's light did not fade that day. It fled. The Astronomicon pulsed across the galaxy like a heartbeat of defiance, stronger than it had been in centuries. Every psyker in the Imperium screamed at once, their minds flooding with images of a figure wreathed in red and white, walking through fire and ruin, carrying death in his hands and freedom in his eyes. The Imperium called him a sign, the Ecclesiarchy called him a heresy, and the warp called him prey. Far beyond Terra, in the roiling tides of the Imperium, the four dark gods stirred. Their laughter rippled through unreality like the tolling of broken bells. Khorne, the blood god, was the first to notice. In his skull-forged throne, rivers of boiling crimson surged higher. A warrior, he growled, a killer of gods, mine by right. Sench, the changer of ways, smiled with infinite mouths. Not yet. He bleeds, but not for power. His hate is pure. A thread not yet woven into destiny. Nurgle's laughter rolled like thunder through the garden of rot. All things decay, even resolve, even rage. I will find his sorrow, feed it until it blossoms, and in the quiet places of nightmare, Slanesh whispered with honeyed delight. He killed gods once. How sweet it would be to make him worship again. For the first time in 1,000 years, the ruinous powers were united in curiosity. Something had entered their game that did not belong to their rules. Something that had killed divinity before. Meanwhile, the story of the ghost spread across the stars like wildfire. Astartes chapters whispered of him in their war prayers. A crimson revenant who fought daemons barehanded and left sanctified blood on holy ground. The Black Templars named him the Emperor's Wrath Made Flesh. The Grey Knights classified him under threat level Alpha Psychosis, Unbound Godslayer, and deep within the Ordo Malleus, Lyra Vaughn's superiors demanded one thing only: find him again. Kratos had left Terra. The Emperor had allowed it. Without words, without orders, only understanding. He walked the surface of Cadmus Prime, a world under siege, where chaos and mortals clashed endlessly in a storm of artillery and faith. He fought beside men who did not know his name, who called him saint or devil, and he neither corrected nor denied them. Every kill felt like repetition, every battle an echo of wars he'd already survived. He began to understand the Emperor's curse, to lead an empire that demanded faith, while drowning in its own blood. When the final bastion fell silent, and the ash buried the sun, Kratos stood alone among corpses that had called him savior. He looked to the blackened sky and spoke softly, almost prayerfully. Your gods are hungry. The wind carried no answer, only laughter, distant, cruel, familiar, coming not from the heavens, but from within his own mind. Ghost of Sparta, we have waited for you. The warp had found him. The laughter came first, faint, melodic, echoing through the ash-choked wind like the ghost of a memory Kratos wished he could forget. Then came the light. Not the holy gold of terror, nor the blue shimmer of the warp's veil. This light was wrong. Bleeding colors that bent reality, peeling sanity from the air like skin. The ground beneath his feet shuddered, the sky cracked, and from it spilled the raw essence of the warp. The eye of terror had found him, or perhaps it had opened for him. 1,000 voices called his name, each one whispering in a different tongue, in a different era. The ash around him congealed into blood. The horizon folded, stretched, and finally broke, revealing a vast cathedral of bone and brass, floating in an ocean of fire. And there, upon thrones carved from madness and murder, sat the four. Khorne, the first and loudest, rose from his seat, a tower of muscle and brass, his skin a tapestry of scars, his throne built from skulls that sang in agony. His voice shook the realm. At last he bellowed, a warrior who knows the truth of war. Come, Ghost of Sparta, cast aside these mortal chains. Serve me, and together we will drown eternity in blood. Kratos glared upward, eyes cold as ice. I serve no throne, Khorne grinned, a wound splitting his face. You are a throne, a monument to rage. You have killed gods before. Let me show you how to kill forever. Kratos' silence was his answer. The blades of chaos flared to life, dripping with molten wrath. Khorne laughed, a laugh that became thunder, fire, and the heartbeat of war itself. But another voice cut through the storm, slick and mocking. Such waste, purred Slaanesh, her form ever-shifting, beauty and terror intertwined, each breath a promise and a curse. You fight because you hate yourself. You kill because it's the only thing that reminds you you're still alive. But imagine, Kratos, what you could feel if you fought for me. She reached toward him, and for a moment the air filled with the scent of his wife's hair, the warmth of his son's laughter. Kratos froze, his grip faltered, and then he snapped. The axe cleaved through illusion, through love, through sorrow, through the soft mockery of his past. The dream shattered like glass. You are not them, he growled. You will never be them. Slaanesh only smiled wider. Oh, but I could be. Behind her, the colors shifted. From the wreckage of reality stepped Tzeentch, cloaked in feathers and fire, eyes like galaxies collapsing in reverse. Your defiance is exquisite, he said. Predictable. I saw it before you arrived. I planned it before you were born. He raised a hand, and visions erupted. Kratos slaying the gods of Olympus, standing before the Emperor, leading legions of Astartes, and finally, sitting upon the golden throne itself. All threads end in you, Tzeentch whispered. Be my instrument, rewrite this galaxy. Slay the Emperor, take his light, become what I already know you are destined to be. Kratos' eyes narrowed. I have seen fate's face. I've broken it before. Tzeentch chuckled, feathers curling inward like shadows. Then try again. The flames shifted once more. A foul sweetness filled the air, the scent of decay, life, and despair, intertwined. From behind them all came Nergal, the grandfather of Rot, waddling forward with a grotesque smile. Poor, weary thing, he said softly. You fight, and fight, and fight, yet you cannot heal. You are so tired, little god. Come to me, rest. I will make you whole. Kratos spat blood into the dirt. If I ever rest, it will be when every god is dead. Nergal's smile didn't falter. Then you will never rest. And so they came, all four, their voices merging into a single terrible harmony that shook the eye of terror. Join us, or be unmade. Kratos' blades ignited. His voice was low, steady, filled with iron and defiance. I've killed gods before. He stepped forward. I'll kill yours next. The warp screamed, and the eye began to bleed. The warp roared, not with sound but with existence itself. Every demonic realm, every twisted echo of creation, convulsed in answer to a single defiance. The Ghost of Sparta had raised his blades against the gods once more. Only now, the gods ruled not a mountain, but the madness between stars. Khorne struck first. The blood god's charge shook the firmament. Each footfall was a war, each roar an apocalypse. The rivers of blood in his realm boiled upward, coiling into a burning spear that he hurled like a fragment of dying suns. Kratos caught it mid-flight. The blades of chaos wrapped around the molten weapon, drank its heat, and returned it. The explosion carved a wound in reality itself. "Good," Korn bellowed, laughing through the inferno. "You kill for the truth." Kratos' reply was a roar that split galaxies. "I kill for freedom." The Leviathan axe sang through the red storm, embedding itself deep into Korn's chest. The blood god staggered, bellowing in a voice that made stars collapse. "You cannot kill war." Kratos yanked the axe free. "No," he growled, "but I can end yours." From above, feathers like burning sigils fell through the chaos. Tsinchish descended, reality rippling in his wake. "Even now, you fulfill my design." The changer of ways whispered. "The moment you resist, you serve me." Kratos glared. "Then I'll make your plans bleed." He hurled the axe, but it never reached Tsinchish. The air folded. The weapon returned as 1,000 mirrors, each showing a version of himself. Kratos as Emperor, Kratos as Daemon, Kratos as Machine God. "All paths end in me," Tsinchish mocked. "Even rebellion." Kratos shattered every mirror with one swing. "Then I'll make a path that doesn't." The words carried through the warp like prophecy, and for a flicker, even Tsinchish hesitated. The ground beneath him softened, rotting, breathing. From its filth rose Nurgle, vast and tender, smiling with infinite decay. "You've seen too much pain, child. Let me take it away." Foul vines wrapped around Kratos, dragging him into a garden that pulsed with life and death intertwined. He smelled earth and disease and the faint, forgotten scent of olive trees from his home. For a heartbeat he almost believed. Then the vines tightened, and he remembered why he fought. He tore free, ripping through Nurgle's gut with both blades. Maggots spilled like rain. "You call this life?" Kratos snarled. "It stinks of surrender." Last came Slaanesh. Her voice rolled through the burning horizon, seductive, mournful, and cruel. "You will tire, Kratos. You will need it. Let me be the peace between your scars." Illusions enveloped him. His wife, his son, his redemption. He felt their warmth, heard their laughter, and believed it. Then the truth struck. Their eyes were violet, their smiles wrong. He screamed. Fire erupted from his body, his rage so pure it burned the illusion itself. "You are nothing but noise." Slaanesh's perfection melted away, leaving only the shrieking hunger beneath. The warp buckled. All four gods recoiled, their laughter now edged with fear. Khorne raged. "No mortal defies us." Tsench hissed. "He should not exist." Slaanesh whispered. "He is beautiful." Nurgle sighed. "He is broken." Kratos raised his weapons, blood and ichor steaming from his skin. "You call yourselves gods," he roared. "Then die like the rest of them." He charged, and the eye of terror collapsed inward, consumed by a light not of holiness, but of truth. For the first time in eons, the Chaos Gods screamed not in pleasure or rage, but in fear. Reality broke, but it did not shatter. It reshaped itself. When Kratos emerged from the Eye of Terror, the sky above Cadmus Prime had changed color. The warp storm that had plagued the sector for centuries was gone, not dispersed, erased. Imperial astropaths screamed in confusion as entire constellations, once hidden by madness, returned to sight. The Emperor's light blazed brighter through the Astronomicon, burning like a second sun. And far away, in the throne room of Terra, the corpse god stirred. Kratos awoke among ruins that were no longer bleeding. The air was still, unnaturally still, the calm that comes when death forgets to keep count. He breathed, the first true breath in what felt like eternity. His weapons lay beside him, the Leviathan axe glowing faintly with warp blood, the blades of chaos dripping with godly ichor that refused to cool. He flexed his hands and the chains responded sluggishly, as if exhausted from what they'd done. In the distance, Imperial banners burned, their golden aquilars warped by strange symbols, half Imperial, half unknown. The survivors who found him didn't know whether to kneel or shoot. "Is it over?" one guardsman whispered, voice trembling through a rebreather. Kratos didn't answer. His eyes were locked on the horizon, where the sky rippled like water, where light bent around something vast and unseen. The warp hadn't been destroyed. It had been changed. Hours later, the Inquisition arrived. Lyra Vaughn descended from her storm ship with a retinue of psychers, each one barely stable. She saw him standing there, surrounded by the corpses of daemons that were fading into dust, their forms dissolving into fractured prayers. "By the Emperor," she whispered. "What did you do?" Kratos looked at her, tired, grim, eyes flickering with the memory of what he'd faced. "They came for me. 4 of them. I sent them back." Lyra blinked. "Back? Where?" He didn't answer. He didn't know. But across the galaxy, the ruinous powers howled in disarray. Their thrones trembled. Khorne's rivers ran dry. Sinch's labyrinths folded in on themselves. Slanesh wept, not from pain but loss, and Nurgle's garden wilted under light. It had never known. The balance of eternity had been broken, not by faith, nor by the Emperor, but by something far more primal. "A god-killer," whispered an astropath, through bloodied teeth. "He has wounded eternity itself." On Terra, the Emperor's psychic field flickered again. His fingers, skeletal and gilded, twitched. In the warp space surrounding his throne, ancient watchers stirred, the echoes of primarchs long dead or lost. They felt him awaken, and somewhere within the Astronocon's endless beam, a ripple of emotion passed through, not rage, not power, but something dangerously human, hope. Kratos stood silently, watching the storm fade. "Your god moves again," he murmured. Lyra turned to him, her voice hollow. "And what of you?" He gripped the blades of chaos, staring into their glow. "I move when I must." And above them, in the void between stars, something ancient whispered his name. Not in hate, not in worship, but in recognition. The galaxy had seen miracles before, but this was something else entirely. A god-slayer had stepped from the Eye of Terror, and for the first time in 10,000 years, the Imperium of man didn't know what to believe. Across 1,000 worlds, the astropathic choirs screamed in unison. Their visions were fragmented, impossible, a figure of fire and flesh striding through the warp, chains glowing with divine fury, and behind him, the echoes of gods weeping. The ecclesiarchy declared it a revelation. The Inquisition called it a heresy. The Mechanicus simply wanted to dissect him. But on the forge world of Graia, the machine priests fell to their knees when they detected what his presence had done. The warp's interference gone. For the first time in millennia, their machine spirits sang in perfect harmony. "It cannot be," murmured Magos Varinax, voice trembling with static awe. The nospheric readings suggest divine recalibration, and in that moment, a new creed began to whisper through the data streams of the Imperium. The God-Killer has corrected the machine. Meanwhile, the Inquisition's chambers on Terra blazed with arguments. Lord Inquisitor Tiberos slammed a data slate onto the marble table, his voice like thunder. "This Kratos, has slain warp entities of impossible magnitude. He wields weapons beyond classification. He alters reality merely by existing." Inquisitor Lyra Vaughn, the only one who had spoken with him, stood her ground. "He's not a daemon, not a psyker. His power is his own. He doesn't serve chaos, he fights it." Tiberos sneered. "Then he is competition to the Emperor, and that, Inquisitor, makes him a threat to the Imperium itself." The debate raged for days, but while politicians and priests fought with words, soldiers and citizens fought with faith. On Cadmus Prime, Kratos walked among the ruins. Where he passed, the air grew clear. The ground ceased to pulse with warp corruption. Guardsmen followed him in silence, terrified, awed, uncertain whether they were escorting a savior or walking beside the end of days. Children drew his likeness on shattered walls, haloed in fire and steel. Pilgrims whispered prayers not to the Emperor but to the Reclaimer. He despised it. He wanted no followers, no shrines. Yet the Imperium craved meaning. And Kratos, whether he wanted it or not, was meaning incarnate. Then came the sign no one could ignore. The Astronomicon pulsed. Not flickered, not dimmed, pulsed. Billions of souls looked to the sky as the Emperor's light throbbed once, twice, in perfect sync with Kratos' heartbeat. For a moment, across the galaxy, every astropath saw the same image, a burning man, walking beside the golden throne, and in that flicker of shared vision, the Emperor spoke, not through words but through thought. "He is not my enemy." The news shattered the Inquisition. The ecclesiarchy split into schisms overnight. Some declared Kratos the Emperor's sword reborn, others the false god of the New Age. And deep within the vaults of the Custodes, silent watchers stirred, preparing for the moment when the god-killer might set foot upon Terra itself, because if he did, someone would have to decide whether he came as heir or executioner. The summons came not by message, nor by decree, but by vision. Across the Imperium, psychers screamed and fell to their knees as a single command burned into their minds. Bring him to Terra. No ship carried that order. No mortal voice spoke it. It emanated from the throne itself. Kratos stood aboard a black ship wrapped in psychic wards flanked by the silent warriors of the Adeptus Custodes. Their armor gleamed like miniature suns, their halberds humming with restrained judgment. He said nothing. Neither did they, for to speak in the presence of destiny felt profane. As Terra came into view, its golden light broke across his face. He felt it, the weight of 10,000 years of belief, pressing down like the chains of Olympus reborn. The Custodes escorted him through corridors that whispered prayers. Every step echoed the faith and fear of an empire that had forgotten the difference between survival and worship. At last, the gates of the Golden Throne opened. The air itself trembled. The Emperor of Mankind sat upon his vast machine, a skeletal god wrapped in light and shadow, a dying sun burning through a million prayers. The scent of incense mixed with ozone, the hum of ancient life supports thrummed like the heartbeat of creation. Kratos approached, each footstep thundering through the marble like the toll of a war drum. The Custodes knelt. The priests fell prostrate. Only Kratos stood tall. He looked upon the Emperor, the corpse that ruled eternity, and felt something he had not in eons. Recognition. "You are not dead," Kratos said, voice low, resonant, and dangerous. "You are bound." For the first time in millennia, the Emperor's eyes opened. Twin suns of psychic fire burned into Kratos' soul. "And you are a god who refuses to be one." The air shook. Power rippled between them, not as enemies, but as mirrors. Two beings who had waged war against divinity itself and become divine through that defiance. "You have slain my enemies," the Emperor said. "You have wounded the warp itself." "It needed to be done," Kratos replied. "Your people, your children drown in lies. They kneel when they should rise." The silence that followed felt heavier than war. "Would you free them?" the Emperor asked. "Yes," Kratos growled. "Even from you." A psychic storm erupted, light and thought and memory colliding in cosmic fury. Visions of the past and future burned through the chamber. Kratos as the Emperor's executioner. Kratos as the new god of mankind. Kratos as the destroyer of terror itself. But when the storm faded, both still stood. "You mistake me," the Emperor said at last, voice soft as dying stars. "I do not seek worship. I seek survival." Kratos' eyes hardened. "Then we are alike." The Emperor nodded slowly. "Perhaps, Ghost of Sparta, but your presence changes the balance of the galaxy. Chaos trembles. The Necrons awaken. The Tyranids turn their gaze toward Terra. "Let them come," Kratos said. "I've killed gods before, and for the first time in 10,000 years, the Emperor smiled. The galaxy had not seen light like this in 10,000 years. Two suns burned now, one in the heavens, one upon the throne. The Emperor of Mankind stirred, and the god of war walked beside him. But light, in the 41st millennium, is never salvation. It is a weapon. Terror itself trembled as the Astronomicon pulsed with impossible vigor. Psychers across the galaxy screamed, not in agony, but in awakening. The Emperor's psychic beacon flared brighter than ever before, reshaped by Kratos' touch, burning the warp into something ordered. Billions of souls saw it in their dreams. The Emperor, no longer a corpse upon his throne, but a golden warrior standing beside a red-marked god of fire and fury. Two figures, one light and one shadow, two suns in the void. The Imperium fractured overnight. Half the High Lords declared this the second ascension. The other half whispered blasphemy. The ecclesiarchy panicked. If the emperor truly walked again, if he shared his throne, what did that make their priests, their saints, their power? Temples burned with riots, as millions knelt before new icons. Paintings of Kratos, standing amid the golden palace, chains aflame, his face marked not by war, but by judgment. The sermons spread faster than the administratum could silence them. The emperor has taken a brother to war. The god-killer fights for mankind. On Cadia's ruins, survivors gathered in makeshift shrines. On Mars, the Mechanicus divided, half seeking to worship the god-killer as a living omnissiah, half demanding his annihilation for disrupting the machine's sacred order. The Inquisition tore itself apart. Inquisitor Tiberos, now Grand Puritan, declared Kratos the second heresy. Lyra Vaughn, once his subordinate, defied the order, choosing to stand with the two sons. He is not the enemy, she said. He is the reason we still exist. But faith is a blade sharper than any sword, and across the galaxy, that blade began to cut. Kratos walked through the halls of the Imperial Palace, the custodies shadowing him in silent disbelief. He hated this, the worship, the whispers, the prostration of millions. Your people, he told the Emperor, love their chains. The Emperor's voice was distant, heavy with millennia of burden. It is all they have known. Faith replaced memory long ago. Kratos turned his gaze toward the stars. Then I will teach them to remember, with blood, if I must. The Emperor's reply was quiet, yet filled with warning. To wake humanity from its dreams, you may have to destroy the Imperium itself. Kratos did not flinch. Then let it burn. And somewhere, deep in the warp, something ancient laughed, a whispering hunger that recognized the beginning of a new war, a war not of chaos versus order, but of gods versus gods. It began with a whisper in the warp, a new voice, unfamiliar, resonant, hungry, not the cruel laughter of Khorne, nor the decadent sighs of Slanesh, not the scheming rasp of Tzeentch, nor the rotting mirth of Nurgle. This one was different, a song made of faith and despair, a reflection of mankind's newest blasphemy. Two gods now sit upon the throne, it hissed, and mankind worships both. Their faith is divided, their belief ripe. From that division, something grew. In the world of Vraxus, the first manifestations began. Shrines to the two suns began to bleed light. Statues whispered prayers of their own. Servitors began speaking names not in any human language. Echoes of something taking shape beyond reality. Psychers called it the shadow between suns. The Inquisition gave it a name, Veritas, the god of revelation, born not from lust or rage, but from mankind's need to believe, a god not of chaos, nor order, but of certainty. Veritas promised clarity. It whispered to those lost between the Emperor's silence and Kratos' fury, I am the truth. I am the faith that binds both gods. Kneel and understand. Within weeks, entire systems turned. Priests preached the new gospel, a unified Imperium. But under a god, neither the Emperor nor Kratos recognized. In the throne room, the two confronted one another. Kratos slammed his fist against the marble floor, his rage shaking the palace. Another god. You promised this would end. The Emperor's light flared, psychic currents bending reality around him. I promised nothing. Humanity's faith is a weapon I can barely wield, and never fully control. Kratos' voice was a growl. Then I will destroy it.
All of it. You cannot. The Emperor said, faith is not bound to form. Destroy one god and man will build another. Kratos turned, his eyes burning with fury. Then I will make them fear gods again. The Emperor's gaze darkened. Be careful, Ghost of Sparta. That path leads not to salvation, but to tyranny. Then so be it, Kratos said, chains coiling around his forearms like serpents. If mankind must be free, I will burn its heaven. That night, the sky over Terra split open. Millions saw the stars twist into a new pattern, a symbol of two suns eclipsed by a third, the mark of Veritas, the newborn god. On 1,000 worlds, pilgrims cried in ecstasy as a new light filled their skies. Ships vanished into the warp, faith splintered into rebellion, and the Imperium burned. Not from chaos, but from the truth it had birthed. And deep within the warp, where gods dream and galaxies die, 4 ancient voices spoke as one. A 5th joins the game, born not from sin, but from salvation, a god of faith itself.
How delightful! The warp burned. Not in fire, but in revelation. A 5th god had risen, and reality itself began to remember what it was before gods ever existed. The throne world shuddered beneath psychic pressure. The Astronacon flickered, its golden flame entwined with the cold silver of Veritas, the newborn deity of truth. Billions prayed to the two suns for deliverance. Billions more turned to Veritas, to the promise of absolute clarity in a galaxy ruled by lies. Faith fractured into light, light fractured into war. And amid it all, Kratos stood before the Emperor once more, his face carved in shadow and fury. "This god you warned of," he growled. "It was born from them, from their belief." The Emperor's gaze was heavy with sorrow, as all gods are, even me. The warp screamed as Veritas manifested fully, a being of glass and thought, its form constantly rewriting itself in geometric perfection. Its voice came not as sound, but as truth burned into every mind that could understand. "You worship shadows," it said. "You build empires on deceit. I am what remains when lies are stripped away." The galaxy trembled. Entire sectors went silent as reality shifted, stars flickering in patterns that resembled eyes, countless, watching. Kratos clenched his blades, golden light reflecting off his ashen skin. "I have seen your kind. Truth, power, gods. You all feed on the same thing, fear." "You mistake me," Veritas replied, its tone almost gentle. "I feed not on fear, but on certainty." And with those words the warp howled. Every mortal who believed, in the Emperor, in Kratos, in anything, felt their soul pulled toward Veritas's growing singularity. Faith itself had become currency, and Veritas was devouring it all. The Emperor rose. For the first time in 10,000 years, he stood. The sound of his movement shattered marble, cracked the floor of the Golden Palace, sent shock waves through the Imperium. "You will not take them," he said, his voice echoing across eternity. "You cannot stop me," Veritas answered. "You are built from the same illusion I now unmake." Kratos stepped forward, blades igniting with god fire. "Then I'll break the illusion myself." Together, they leapt into the warp, god and ghost, father and fury, their forms colliding with the newborn deity, in a storm of impossible light. Reality fractured, planets screamed, mortals felt something pass through them, a pulse that burned away doubt, leaving either enlightenment or madness. And as the clash of divinity raged, the galaxy itself began to choose. Would it embrace the comfort of truth, even if that truth destroyed them, or cling to faith, flawed, fragile, but still human? Because in Warhammer 40,000, truth was never salvation, it was the sharpest weapon of all.